Three varieties of inorganic salts are simple salts, double salts as well as complex salt. These complex salts are also called as coordination compound. What are the example for coordination compounds? Example for coordination compounds are potassium ferrocyanide, potassium ferricyanide and cuprammonium sulfate. It has a capacity to donate one or more pair of electrons to central metal atom or ion. That's why ligands are called as Lewis bases. Hello my dear students, I am Renuka Ashok, Department of Chemistry, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Welcome to the first session of chapter Coordination Compound. The first session of chapter Coordination Compounds. Okay. So in this chapter, I am going to deal with how inorganic salts are classified into three types. How inorganic salts are classified into three types. The difference between double salt and complex salt and definition of terms related to coordination compound. This chapter name is Coordination Compound. Coordination compounds are also called as complex salts. That's why I am going to take it as one of the type of inorganic salt. Therefore, first I am going to explain about the classification of inorganic salts and the difference between double salts and coordination compounds. It is also known as complex salt. And to understand the different concepts of coordination compound, you require the basic terminologies to understand the concepts of coordination compound. Let us consider the classification of inorganic salts. Organic are called as compounds. Inorganic compounds are also called as inorganic salts. Inorganic salts are classified into three types: simple salts, double salts and coordination compound. These coordination compounds are also called as complex salts. What are the three varieties of inorganic salts? Three varieties of inorganic salts are simple salts, double salts as well as complex salt. These complex salts are also called as coordination compound. What are simple salts? Already you analyzed different salts in the practical classes. So they are nothing but simple salts. You analyzed calcium carbonate, aluminum sulfate, magnesium carbonate, barium chloride, calcium carbonate, aluminum sulfate, barium chloride. So what are simple salts? Salts which containing one acid radical and one basic radical. One acid radical and one basic radical. A salt which containing one acid radical and one basic radical, or which containing one cation and one anion. Such salts are called as simple salts. Very beautiful example for simple salts already you analyzed in the laboratory: calcium carbonate, aluminum sulfate, barium chloride, strontium nitrate, ammonium bromide, ammonium chloride, magnesium carbonate, magnesium sulfate. These all are beautiful example for simple salts. What are simple salts? Simple salts means which containing one acid radical and one basic radical. Next, double salt. It is a mixture of two simple salt. If two simple salt mixed with each other, then it is called as double salt. For example, when you take potassium chloride and magnesium chloride, KCl and MgCl2, potassium chloride and magnesium chloride. If you mix with each other as well as it is absorbed 6 molecules of water, then it is called as carnallite. What is the composition of carnallite? KCl.MgCl2.6H2O. More salt, or it is also called as FeAS, ferrous ammonium sulfate. It contains two salts like ferrous sulfate and ammonium sulfate. It is associated with 24 molecules of water. So these are called as what? Double salts. So these double salt dissociated into its simple ions. For example, carnallite contain potassium chloride and magnesium chloride. They dissociated into K plus, Mg2 plus, as well as Cl minus. They dissociate into potassium ion, magnesium ion as well as what? Chloride ion. Next, third type, they are called as coordination compounds as well as complex salt. So what are coordination compounds or complex salt? Just like atom, these coordination compound contain metal atom or metal ion at the center. This metal atom or metal ion at the center, it is surrounded by ions or molecules, They are collectively called as ligand. They are surrounded by ions or molecules. They are called as ligand, and they are bonded to central metal atom or ion through coordinate bond. coordinate bond. Because of the presence of coordinate bond, these are called as coordination compound. Because of the presence of complex ion, they are also called as complex salts. Therefore, coordination compounds, they got named coordination compound because of the presence of coordinate bond or dative bond. Because of the presence of complex ion, they are also called as complex salt. Like, what are complex salts or coordination compound? These are the compounds which containing at least one metal atom or ion at the center, which is surrounded by ions or molecules called ligands through coordinate bond. Like, what are coordination compound? Are the compounds in which central metal atom or ion is linked to number of ions or neutral molecule by coordinate bond by donation of one lone pair of electron to the ions or neutral molecule to the central metal atom. So, example, potassium ferrocyanide, potassium ferricyanide, cuprammonium sulfate. What are the three beautiful examples for coordination compound? Potassium ferrocyanide, potassium ferricyanide, potassium ferrocyanide, K4FeCN6, potassium ferrocyanide, potassium ferricyanide, K3FeCN6, potassium ferricyanide, and cuprammonium sulfate. Don't read as copper, it is cuprammonium sulfate. These all are example for, beautiful example for coordination compound. Here, in both the cases, iron is considered as central metal atom. Here it is surrounded by 6 cyanide ion. Here also it is surrounded by 6 cyanide ion. Here central metal atom is copper. It is surrounded by 4 ammonia molecules. Ammonia is a neutral molecule. In the first two cases, the ligands are ions. In the third case, the ligand is a neutral molecule. And in the first two cases, the central metal atom is iron. In the third case, that is in the cuprammonium sulfate, the central metal atom or ion is copper. What's the difference between double salts and complex salt? Double salt is stable only in solid state, but dissociated into simple ion when it is dissolved in water. Complex salt is stable both in solid and solution state and does not dissociate completely in solution state. Example for double salt, carnallite and more salt. Here the example for coordination compounds are these are potassium ferrocyanide, potassium ferricyanide, and cuprammonium sulfate. What are the example for coordination compounds? Example for coordination compounds are potassium ferrocyanide, potassium ferricyanide, and cuprammonium sulfate. Now, the definition or terms related to coordination compound. If I consider this is a structure of coordination compound, observe here at the center cobalt is there. Therefore, this is called as central metal ion. It is surrounded by 4 chloride ion and 3 chloride ion and 3 amine. So, ammonia ligand. These are called as ligands. 3 plus is charge of the complex ion, and the bond between ligand and central metal, it is coordinate bond, and it is complete representation is called as coordination sphere. And outside, which are 3 chloride ion, Cl3. So, these chloride ion are called as counter ions, as well as they are also called as ionization sphere. It is also called as what? Ion. The part which is present inside the square bracket, it is called as coordination sphere. The part which is present inside the square bracket, it is called as coordination sphere. Which is present outside the square bracket, it is called as ionization sphere. Therefore, to understand the concept of coordination compound, we required some basic terminologies, that is central metal atom or ion, as well as ligands, coordination sphere, and coordinate bond, coordination entity, ionization sphere. The part which is present inside the square bracket, it is called as coordination sphere. The part which is present outside the square bracket, it is called as ionization sphere. Next, coordination entity. Coordination entity constitutes central metal atom or central metal ion, and it is surrounded by certain ions or molecules called ligand through coordinate bond. It is called as coordination entity. Example, COCl3Na3 thrice, FeCN6 4-. These all are called as coordination entity. Central metal atom. Here in this structure, which one is central metal? Ni, nickel 2+. Here Fe 3+. Observe, so the metal which are attached to the ligand, they are called as central metal atom. Observe, usually central metal atom are only D block elements. Already I discussed about about D block elements only form coordination compound because of its small size, high ionic charge and the presence of vacant d orbital. They has the capacity to form coordination compounds or complex salt. Next, ligand. Already I told that ligands are ions or molecule which are bonded to central metal atom or ion in a coordination entity are called ligand. So it has a capacity to donate one or more pair of electron to central metal atom or ion. That's why ligands are called as Lewis bases, because ligands can donate electron to central metal atom or ion. Because of the donation of electron from ligand to metal, there is a formation of bond between metal and ligand. That bond is called as coordinate bond. That bond is called as what? Coordinate bond. Like what are ligand? Ligands are not atoms. Ligands are not atom. Ligands are ions or molecule which has the capacity to donate one or more pair of electron to central metal atom or ion to form coordinate bond. So these ligands are classified into different types: unidentate, bidentate, polydentate, ambidentate. What are the types of ligands? Unidentate, bidentate, polydentate as well as ambidentate. The name itself indicates uni means one, bi means two, poly means more than two, 3 or 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, what are unidentate ligands? Ligands which can donate one donor atom and which can donate only one pair of electron to center metal atom, and it will form only one bond, one coordinate bond between metal and ligand. So what are unidentate ligand? Ligands which containing one donor atom, or ligand has the capacity to donate one pair of electron to central metal atom or ion to form one coordinate bond. These unidentate ligands, some are neutral, some are negative and some are positive. Neutral ligands are H2O, but it is not called as water, it is called as aqua. It is called as amine, double M. It is called as carbonyl. It is called as carbonyl. It is called as carbonyl. Therefore, example for unidentate neutral ligands are H2O, NH3, CO, NO, Ca3NH2 as well as pyridine. The charge carried by it neither carries any charge. Therefore, net charge is 0. Negative unidentate ligands are hydroxo, fluorido, chlorido, bromido, iodido, cyanido, amino, nitrito, acetato, oxido, sulfido. Okay, so positive are NO plus and NO2 plus. Therefore, unidentate ligands are further classified into 3 categories depending upon the charge: neutral, positive, negative. What are unidentate ligands? Unidentate ligands are the ligands which contain only one donor atom and which has the capacity to donate only one pair of electron to central metal atom to ion to form one coordinate bond. Next, bidentate. It is a ligand which have two donor atoms. Example, oxalato. OX and ethylene diamine. It has a capacity to donate. It has two donor atoms. When it has several donor atoms, it is called as polydentate. Very good example for polydentate is EDTA. Ethylene diamine triacetato. It is ethylene diamine tetra acetate ion, and it is hexadentate. Why it is called as hexadentate? Because it has 6 donor atom. That is, it can 2 nitrogen and 4 oxygen. 2 nitrogen and 4 oxygen. It has 6 donor atom. That's why it is called as hexadentate. Next, ambidentate. Ligand which can ligate through 2 different atoms is called as ambidentate ligand. In haloalkanes and haloarine chapter, I discussed about ambidentate nucleophile. Nucleophiles which having 2 attacking center, they are called as ambidentate nucleophile. Similarly, ligands which ligate through 2 different atoms is called as ambidentate ligand. For example, NO2 minus, sometime it ligates through nitrogen, sometime it ligates through oxygen. Sometime SCN, it's sulfur, through it is nitrogen. Thiocyanate through sulfur, isothiocyanate through nitrogen. Such ligands are called as ambidentate ligand. When a di or polydentate ligand uses 2 or more donor atom bind a single metal, is said to be a chelate ligand. It is a chelate ligand. So, single atom is binded through 2 or more different atoms. It is known as chelate ligand, and such complexes are called as chelate complex, as well as the phenomenon is called as chelation. Is called as what? Chelation. So next to coordination number. For example, when metal is surrounded by ligands, the total number of coordinate bonds which is formed between metal and ligand, coordination number of central metal atom or ion is the number of ligand donor atom to which metal is directly attached, or in case of monodentate ligand, coordination number is equal to number of ligands. In case of monodentate ligand or unidentate ligand, H2O, Na3, CO, NO, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus, F minus, CH3, COO minus. In these cases, how many ligands are attached to the central metal atom? That is nothing but its coordination number. It is only possible in case of monodentate as well as bidentate. Therefore, my dear student, what is coordination number of central metal atom or ion present in a coordination compound? It is the total number of coordinate bonds which is present between metal and ligand. So, for example, here observe here, silver is attached with 2 amine, therefore it coordination number 4. Here palladium attached with 4 amine, 4. Zinc attached with 4 ammonium molecule, therefore 4. Here cobalt is attached with 6. So geometry, when it is coordination number 2, it is linear. 4, sometime it is square planar and sometime it is tetrahedral. If the coordination number 6, it is octahedral. Therefore, my dear student, today in class I discussed with some of the basic terms required to help understand the concepts of coordination compound. Next time I'll come up with the new concept that is about coordination sphere. Okay. My dear student, next class I'll come up with, in the second session, I'll come up with new concepts of coordination compound. Until that, goodbye. Thank you. Have a nice day.